Congressman, good morning.
Good morning.
Is immigration dead? That certainly seems to be the tone coming out of Republicans in the House. You're a Democrat, but can you say it's over?
Well, I'm not going to say it's over, but I will tell you that there is a ton of pessimism in these halls that anything can get done. I mean, as you said earlier, you know, when the Republicans bring a farm bill, which, look, let's face it, a farm bill is a lot about the Republican people in red states and whatnot, and they can't get it passed on the floor that they control. I'll tell you, it really does not make you optimistic for what is the hardest thing for them, and I say them because it's really the House Republicans. You know, the Senate had a very strong bipartisan bill to get over, which is this concept of a legalization process for the 11 million undocumented people in this country.
What will Speaker Boehner have to do to get through this process? His process has been to find some Democrats to support a reluctant Republican moderate effort. Is that process going to be the same for immigration?
Well, I think Speaker Boehner faces he's got two choices right now. One, he can wind up with something that looks a little bit like the Senate bill, which, again, most Americans support. 68 votes in the Senate. You don't get that very often. And that's going to incur the wrath of his right wing, his Tea Party wing here. Or he can, and I think this is the more likely scenario, fail to do anything meaningful, which is interesting, right? Because you hear the Republicans today saying, well, we're going to do lots of border fences. We're going to do H-1B visas so that we can keep software engineers here. But the political problem for the Republicans, of course, is the fact that 70% of Latinos voted for Barack Obama. Well, guess what? 70% of Latinos are not really interested in 700 miles more of border fence or in engineering visas. They are really focused on some kind of, rigorous earned path to citizenship.
It's well said, Congressman. What is the risk here? Do they risk not only alienating that community and those voters, but being perceived as a roadblock for any bipartisan legislation?
Look, that's already the brand on that side. And if immigration reform goes down, it's going to be another one of these things like, remember when the universal background checks failed in the Senate? 90% of Americans supported this thing, and somehow it can't get done.
Right.
And look, the American people, and I'm not trying to score partisan points here, but they have a sense that while there is lots of gridlock and lots of partisanship, they have the sense that the House Republicans are at the core of why we just can't seem to get anything done here, including a farm bill.
Right. We're the Congressman. We've got Adam Parker of Morgan Stanley with us, their chief equity strategist. The heart of this debate is the spirit of immigration and population growth, which folds right into a better and booming economy. We're not there right now in terms of population growth, are we?
I think it also boils down to jobs, right? I mean, that I think ultimately is what matters. That's what the Fed says they care about. That's one of their one part of their dual mandate. So I think it's all tied into the same main point.
It's all also a one-on-one debate.
And as we get ready for earnings season with banks in focus, Congressman Himes, you're still with us. You're on the House Financial Services Committee, where the issue du jour is too big to fail. Where are we on the issue of too big to fail?
Well, we're having a very academic argument on too big to fail, right? With some people saying, we haven't fixed it, and some people saying that we have. Well, guess what? We don't know until we experience a moment of stress in our banking industry in which we actually get to look at how some of these very large institutions respond to an unexpected downturn. So I'll tell you, it's a very academic argument here. Frankly, the issue du jour today, and I do mean today, is the fact that rumors are that the chairman of the committee is about to drop a fairly revolutionary and comprehensive Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac reform bill. So I think that's what we're going to be focused on here for the next couple of days.
Adam Parker, are we closer or farther away from a moment of stress in our financial system?
Well, look, I mean, we're creating $1 trillion on a computer to buy our own securities, and we're running at a huge deficit. So I think you have to start unwinding some of that stuff before you can evaluate whether the underlying economy is strong enough to handle, the lack of that accommodation.
Well, we're in July, we come to August, and we begin the 7th year of this crisis. Congressman Himes, you sort of look like a guy that would work at a bank like Goldman Sachs. What you did, I think it's great to have somebody with some real banking.
Just got to bring it up.
Yeah, but it's great to have somebody in Washington that actually worked on Wall Street. What is the number one thing Washington doesn't get about our too big to fail banks, like your former employer, Goldman Sachs?
Well, again, it's pretty hard to say. Look, the banks have been doing they've certainly been doing well from an earnings standpoint. The Treasury stress tests, they have survived those quite well. We've got the Basel III standards coming in. It's a little hard to say in the abstract academically, well, gosh, what could happen 2 years down the road? Look, am I willing to tell you that too big to fail is over? No. Look, one thing we've seen over 1,000 years is that you do have periodic bubbles and real problems in the financial services sector. But it's too early to say, yes, it succeeded and no, it failed.
Well, we are starting to see more rules like higher leverage ratios. That was the news of this week from the regulators. Congressman, is breaking up the banks a viable solution at this point?
Well, there's certainly a lot of people who are promoting that solution, but again, it is, I think, way too early to contemplate something that dramatic. Remember, while the interconnectedness and the fact that some of these institutions turned out to be too big to fail was a huge problem, massive things were happening outside the banking sector. The derivatives issue at AIG. Guess what? AIG was not a bank, and that was central to the meltdown. Countrywide and the outrageous mortgages that were being underwritten out there, didn't really have a lot to do directly anyway with the money center bank. So, it's an appealing solution. It's great to say, let's break them up and whatnot, but we've got a lot of considerations about, frankly, what that would do to the international competitiveness of these banks. So, I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but it's a pretty dramatic thing, and unless we know that it is absolutely essential, I think we need to be careful about going there.